All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're going to be breaking down Iowa and Iowa State. Massive top 10 clash this Saturday in Ames. Iowa's won the last 5, but the Cyclones will get the favorite in this game. 4.5 is the spread. Over-under, another small one, 46. The TV is going to be ABC, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, Jack Trice Stadium will be the home of this one. Very good series since Matt Campbell's gotten there. Last 3 decided by 14 points combined. That includes 2 that was 3 and then 1. That's so Iowa State has been unable to get over the hump yet, but it's been very close year after year, and we expect another one here on Saturday. So looking at this Iowa offense to get things started, Spencer Petras, he's best as a game manager when Iowa runs the ball well. Last year when he had 50-plus pass attempts, that's when his biggest mistakes came. It was his worst games. That's when he threw his interceptions. That's when he was his lower completion percentages. So for them to have to have success, they have to run the ball well, so Petras is not put in position to have to do too much, as he has not shown he's capable of leading this team to a victory with his arm. I can trust him, but if with absolutely no running game, no. If they have just a little bit, they can execute just a tad bit of play action. I think Petras can hold up just well, but it's a situation I'd rather just avoid if I was Iowa. So 112 yards or less in the last 2 games versus the Cyclones, so physicality is going to have to be important in this one. The offensive line, they're one of the smallest in the FBS in terms of size at 282 pounds. That's the average of all 5 of them. They do have one of the top anchors, though, in Tyler Linderbaum at center. This guy moves so well in space. He's very big and strong as well, so they have an edge there. You don't look at the Iowa State defensive front and go, they have a big edge in terms of size. So even though that's a notable fact right there, I'm just not too worried about that in this ball game. Tyler Goodson, explosive runner. He likes to get things going in between the tackles on the edge as well. He can do a little bit of everything. Goodson, he's the best player on this offense other than Linderbaum. Best skilled position player, that is. They're not great at receiver. Tyrone Tracy, he's a veteran. He's been here for a while. And tied into LaPorta. He's a complete chain mover. That's probably Petras' favorite target. They're not very deep at receiver. They don't have a lot of proven commodities either. I don't expect either passing game to really play a massive role in this game anyways. But still, tied to LaPorta. He's really good. He's going to be the guy they look for on third downs. Looking at this Iowa State offense, Breece Hall, incredibly elusive. He's a tough runner, 1,500 yards a season ago. They're going to probably feed him the ball 25 to 30 times in this ball game. Iowa, again, is another one of those teams that's really good at stopping the run. We'll get to the defenses here momentarily, but both running backs are really good. Running behind veteran offensive lines, Iowa State has a lot of starts combined up there. They also have some good depth this season if someone goes down. But this game is probably going to lean on the shoulders of Brock Purdy. His legs must be accounted for. He can really hurt you with his mobility. I think that's one of the biggest keys to this game is his mobility, not just as a runner to pick up first downs, but getting outside of the pocket, finding his tight ends, and Charlie Kolar, Chase Allen. He completed 70% of his passes in his own start versus Iowa a few years ago, 276 yards. So he's got a taste for how this defense likes to play, and it's extremely physical. Throughout his career, he's been up and down as a passer. He's on pace to shatter every school record, though, as a passer. So in that category, he's the best. But he had 3 interceptions in his last big game when they played Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. He cost them the game, really. Down the stretch, he had some bad interceptions, especially on that final drive. He just tossed it up and it was picked off. So can't have that happen again here. Neither of these teams can afford to turn the ball over in this game specifically. But he did complete 80% for 199 last week, so a nice little start to the year. Again, back to those tight ends. Charlie Kolar, he didn't play last week. He had an ankle injury. He's questionable. Haven't heard anything eye-shattering about that, so I think everything should be good. Chase Allen, Kolar, he can line out wide, run slants, massive red zone threat, line him up inside as a blocker. He's really important. Chase Allen he's just as good as a blocker and inside receiving threat. You can't really put him outside like you can with Kolar, but Allen, he's a big part of this offense as well. Their receiving core, though, it's not very deep. Xavier Hutchinson, he's 210. He's one guy who can generate some separation, very good after contact. You could probably see him get involved with some bubbles, screens, whatever they can do to get him involved. Because as a bigger body and with his ability to make plays after the catch, you're going to see him get a lot of targets in this game. Very good Iowa secondary, though, has a fun matchup here. Other than that, though, it's not great. They have Tariq Milton. He's a veteran. He can't separate like Hutchinson can. So I think you're going to see Jalen Noel. He's a freshman. He's a good cutter, very quick. He can create separation, especially in the slot. I think he had 1 catch last week. Not sure, but as a freshman coming out of high school, that's what he does very well. He can create separation. Quick change of pace guy. good. He's good at movement. Like this kid, I think you're going to see him get involved a lot because they're going to need that against these tough physical offenses. If that front seven of Iowa gets stiff, Noel's going to get some touches to try and make some plays against this tough secondary as well. Moving to the Iowa defense, the question mark for me is who's going to step up on the defensive line other than Zack Vanivalkenburg. I expect a big breakout season from him. If you watched my podcast last week when I broke down the Iowa IU game, it's going to be kind of the same notes because their defense did exactly what I suspected they would. Played great in the secondary. That was a very one-dimensional offense. It's a little different this week, so I think Jack Campbell and Seth Benson at linebacker, those guys are going to be very key in slowing down this running game, in space as well against guys like Noel Hutchinson if they get the ball in there in the area, trying to keep Iowa State from spreading the field. That's what they're going to want to do, and these linebackers are going to be very crucial against the run in space. Jack Wagner on the defensive front, though, he made some good plays last week. I think he's going to be the one that steps up and helps him up front. Vanivalkenburg, that is. Either way, a lot of these guys aren't notable names on the defensive front for Iowa. Every year they have that one standout, but other than that, it's just a bunch of guys who are tough, physical, and nasty, really get after it. Wagner is one of them. They're just very fundamentally sound, very disciplined, very tough run defense to crack. It's been like that for years here at Iowa under Kirk France. So it's a very good defense up front. But then you look in the secondary, it's even better. Riley Moss, he had two pick sixes that is last week against Michael Penix. Matt Hankins as well. They make up a phenomenal corner tandem, one of the nation's best that nobody's talking about. Jet corner and safety. These guys are incredibly talented in the secondary. Last year, they only allowed the second most plays of 30-plus passing yards. The second fewest, that is. They didn't allow a lot downfield. These guys are very disciplined. As I said, fundamentally sound. The secondary is really, really good. Thin wide receiver core, they might have some trouble separating deep. So that's why I think screens, bubbles to Noel, Hutchinson, they're going to be very key, and those guys are going to have to be able to make plays if Purdy's able to get it to them. So I don't think a lot's going to be opened up deep. So that's Iowa State's game plan pretty much. It's going to be try to get those guys in areas where they can make some plays. The tight ends are going to be looking for 4 to 5 yard pickups. Just stay ahead of the chains. That's really going to be the game plan for both offenses, but especially against the secondary, Iowa State is really going to have some issues, I think, if they cannot separate. So they could become zero-dimensional offensively. I really think that's possible here. They might not be able to run the ball or pass the ball, so that's something to watch in this game. The Cyclones' defense was one of the best rush defenses in college football last season. That should remain the same this year. They have not allowed much versus Iowa the last two seasons. As noted earlier, 112 or less over the last two. They have them sealed up. They've proven that in the past. They're even on size on the defensive line. As I mentioned earlier, not a very big in terms of size defensive or offensive line for Iowa. So it's pretty even. I don't really think they have a big advantage. But I think this offense for Iowa, they're going to be backed up in some situations. They're going to be second and third and longs, obvious passing situations. That's going to allow them to unleash William McDonald at defensive end. Led them in sacks last year, but what was it, 10.5? He's going to have some opportunities to make plays off the edge as a rusher. Numerous opportunities to make plays I'm expecting. He had four forced fumbles in his career. Stealing a possession is going to be very crucial in this game. So that's something to watch. If he's going to have opportunities, no doubt about it. If they can't seal him up off the edge, that could be a problem. If he's going to sack him back, whether they move the chains back to force punch to set them up a better field position, or just straight up coming up with a turnover. That's one of my favorite matchups in this game is McDonald against those tackles. 3 good linebackers that Iowa State has. Mike Rose, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year a season ago. He's really good in coverage, as is Jake Hummel. He's really good in coverage as well. Orion Vance, another one of those guys. 3 veteran seniors at linebacker, and 2 of them are exceptional in coverage. So finding Sam LaPorta might be tough. But I think you're going to see some of these linebackers get matched up with guys like Noel at receiver in the slot. And we'll see how they hold up. They're really good at doing that, but we'll see. It's just who's going to win the matchups. You can't really call who's going to win a matchup when you've got both position groups are pretty really talented, really good ball players. So that's a very key. That's going to be a key observation to watch in this game. They only had 4 interceptions, the defensive backs, last season, so they did not have a lot of playmakers in the back end. They had 2 last week. They're talented, but overall the playmaking wasn't great. Asheem Young, Greg Eisworth, an all-conference guy, Anthony Johnson. This zone defense altogether is very sound. They don't come down with a lot of interceptions, but they're very sound defensively. They don't give up a lot of big plays. I wouldn't say they're as good as Iowa's secondary, but these guys can play ball. They're no joke. So that's something to watch in this game. That's how the secondary can perform against play action if Iowa gets it going. This 5 in coverage, this zone defense, this has been a really good defense over the last couple of years. Matt Campbell's done a phenomenal job. The scheme they run, the players they have in it, execute it very well. So this zone, very good. Looking at the team comparisons, both of these teams are really evenly matched. So if one team has the edge over the other on the picture, on the screen, don't take it too far because these guys are really evenly matched in a lot of areas. The biggest edge I do see, though, is at quarterback Brock Purdy over Spencer Petras. I'll take that any day of the week. The dual threat nature of Purdy overall as a passer, he's been much better as well. Again, he's had his ups and downs, but I trust him much more in a late game situation than I do with Spencer Petras. The running backs, Breece Hall, Tyler Goodson, they're both phenomenal, probably both two of the top 10, 15 running backs in the entire country. But Breece Hall, very productive. He's a phenomenal workhorse. Goodson did have to share a backfield last year with Mekhi Sargent, so his production, of course, wasn't going to be as outstanding. But Breece Hall, you can't teach people the way the run he does. Very, very physical, very elusive. One of probably the best back in the nation. Iowa State gets the edge in pass catchers. Hutchinson, he's far better than anyone on Iowa's football team in terms of a pass catcher. The breakaway ability, he's great at fighting through contact in his own right. And then the tight ends, they fit right into that category as well in terms of pass catchers. Chase Allen, Charlie Kolar, Sam LaPorta is a great tight end in his own right. But as a group, Iowa State has that edge. The offensive line, veteran offensive line for Iowa State, but the Hawkeyes have Tyler Linderbaum, probably the nation's top offensive lineman. And they got veteran tackles there in their own. Jack Lamb is one of those. Cody Inesi, another one. So these guys are no slouch on the offensive line. Neither team is. So pass rush. Will McDonald gives them the edge. Very evenly matched pass rushes, though. Iowa State, they have the edge. Will McDonald, one of the top players in the conference last season, if not all of college football. Linebackers, it's really even. I mentioned the 3 Iowa State had. Campbell and Benson as well, though, at Iowa. These guys are really good. I think Iowa State's probably a little bit better in coverage with their linebackers, but it's very fluid for Iowa as well. These guys, no joke. Jack Campbell throughout the year is going to probably be a potential All-American candidate if he can stay healthy and continue on the upward trajectory that we're expecting from him. Moving to the secondary Iowa, I give them the edge. I just love these guys. The corner tandem is too much. Riley Moss, Matt Hankins, it's too much to love. Jack Corner is a playmaker as well. But again, no knock on Iowa State. They play a very good 5-6-man DB coverage sometimes. That zone is very good. Moving to my final thoughts and analysis, I think what the Hawkeyes need to do to win is be more physical and then slow down the run and give the secondary a chance to force some turnovers. Be more physical. Both teams are really going to bring it in the trenches. Iowa is always known for the physicality. So if you can just be more physical, to run the ball a little bit better, slow down the run a little bit more, that's going to be very big in this game. As that might decide the games. Who can be more physical in the trenches? What the Cyclones need to do. Take advantage of when Iowa's offense is in those long third downs, as I mentioned, in their obvious passing situations. Give Will McDonald a chance to work. Allow those linebackers to make plays in coverage. Because Mike Rose, he had 5 picks last year. He's a ball hawk in his own right. In the secondary, they have talented players. They didn't make a lot of picks last year, but they're talented players. They can make plays on the ball. They're plenty capable. And again, I want to touch on Purdy making up, plays with his mobility. Not just as a runner that can pick up first downs, though. The guy who can get out of the pocket, find his tight ends around the sticks, find guys like Hutchinson downfield. Those are the keys. Everything I said, you can pretty much throw it away. The book is going to be empty. All the analysis, forget it. These guys, it's going to come down to who's more physical, who's more disciplined, who makes more plays. You've seen special teams errors cost people in this game. They're very, very close over the last couple of years. So, you can pretty much toss the book. These guys are evenly matched up, as good as they come in all facets of the game. The prediction, though, Iowa 16-13. I think they're going to come on the road and they're going to win another one. Iowa State has been super close over the last 5 years, and you think they would have an edge here at home, and they will. But I like the Hawkeyes. They're not going to be phased in this game. I think they're going to make just enough plays to squeak by on the road. But a low-scoring contest, the winner, this game's only going to win by a couple of points. Is again, one of my favorite games on the weekend, and probably the whole year. It's always fun when these two match up. So that's going to wrap everything up for tonight, guys. Make sure you leave a comment, subscribe. Leave down below who you think is going to win, and see you guys next time.